CNBC.com political finance reporter Brian Schwartz is here to discuss. Brian, welcome. There's been a lot of talk lately about where Ron DeSantis' campaign is going.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, he burned through a lot of cash in this last quarter. And there's this question marks now from people who are raising money for him, for his campaign. And there's just growing questions as to where exactly is Ron DeSantis' campaign going right now. He's still behind Donald Trump by, dozens of points in the polls. And, there's some other, questions as to exactly what is the message that Ron DeSantis is giving to GOP primary voters. That, again, the point of why some of these donors are giving to him, at least originally, was this idea that DeSantis was going to be this candidate who could defeat Trump in the primary and then go off and really take on and win in a general election, likely against President Joe Biden. And there's some real question marks as to if he's going to be that guy by very wealthy financiers that we have really done reporting on and looked at kind of what the issues they have here with this campaign. So it's a question of, are these donors going to keep raising money for him at the rate they did in the last quarter? And if they're not, where exactly are they going to go? Who are the other candidates they're really going to be looking at in the quarters to follow?
To these eyes, to mine, the big issue for DeSantis and to a lesser degree for all other challengers to former President Trump is the enthusiasm gap. It's just not there. The enthusiasm is just not there. I read a very interesting article by a writer named David French. He said it's not just that Donald Trump taps into a roiling discontent and anger in the electorate, but that he triggers a joy among certain followers of his. And that joy factor is just not there with DeSantis or any of the others, really.
Yeah, you might be right on that, and that article might be true in terms of the enthusiasm gap. I think that's what you're getting at here from what we're talking about, GOP primary base voters for the other candidates that are not named Trump. And you're probably right. That is likely an issue here that the other candidates are facing. If you look at all the events that Donald Trump has gone to over the last few weeks, the crowds are just frankly much bigger than, let's say, Ron DeSantis and the other opponents. There's just more enthusiasm out there for the GOP primary voter, and Wall Street donors who are scrambling right now. And it's not just on Wall Street. A lot of wealthy people who lean to the GOP side of the aisle are kind of going, now what do we do? We thought it was going to be DeSantis. And now the question is, who's it going to be? DeSantis is number 2. He's 40 points back in the polls. And the next person back from him is Vivek Ramaswamy, last time I checked, with I think at 8%. So where exactly is this going to go if you're a wealthy donor while the GOP primary base is cheering on Donald Trump, which is what you need to win these things? And, what are you going to do? You're going to expect, I guess, a fuller turnout in a primary in a caucus state? I don't know. But there is some real searching being done right now for an alternative.
I was struck by how much Tim Scott has raised. I forget the number, maybe $21 million, a substantial amount relative to where he is in the polls. Where is that coming from, and what does that tell you, if anything?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's interesting that you bring that up. There has been a lot of chatter really since the end of this last quarter about Tim Scott that I've heard of. And it's been this idea that maybe he could be that guy that can rise up in the polls and be that alternative, particularly for more wealthier people to support and rally around. Because if you look at where all the money's going now, it's spread out all over the place. You got money going to DeSantis, big money going there, big money going to Nikki Haley, some big money going to Tim Scott, Chris Christie, you name it, Vivek Ramaswamy. There is this effort and this thought process being made as to maybe there should be more of a rally around Tim Scott. And I think you could see that maybe in the next quarter or so, but he still has a long way to go to get back up in those polls. It is still very early in this race.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to see some sort of movement by him. And look, a lot of people like him. I think even Donald Trump in a way likes him, right? You don't see a lot of attacks coming from Donald Trump against Tim Scott. So maybe down the road there's a VP play that he could go down. We don't know yet, but he's still somebody that the wealthy donors are looking at and going, maybe this is somebody we can get behind instead of a Ron DeSantis in the next quarter.
We'll see. Could be a big swing. I don't think he's gotten a nickname yet, so that's got to be a good sign. Brian, thanks.
I think you're right.
Brian Schwartz reporting.